Welcome to session number 20. We're at the end. And if you're one of the few, the very, very few that have been through every module, went through every exercise, and now you have landed here in your final lesson, I want to say congratulations. I commend you. I respect you. And I'm so excited about what your future holds as you step off now with a lot more knowledge and a lot more to think about than you had when you first started. And I think it's appropriate that we finish things in a similar way to how we started them. And when we started in the first module, I had you thinking about what it was that you actually wanted. And it got you thinking bigger, hopefully. And the way that I want to finish is to talk about, or to get you thinking about, who you're going to be. I think most of your success, most of my success, is not about all the tactics we do, but it's who we're being when we do the tactics. Recently, I came across this PDF document called The 7 Decisions. It's written by a guy named Andy Andrews. It's actually from a larger book, but this PDF is available, and I'm going to share it in the lesson notes of this module. I'm not going to read all of it because it's pretty lengthy. But I'm going to talk about the highlights of each one of these 7 decisions. I've read a lot of personal development in my time. If you've ever been a guest in our home or seen one of my lives where I'm near the library, you can see my bookshelf and you know I read a lot. But I don't think I've ever seen a more concise and powerful and meaningful summary of how to be the right person in your business and in your life like I have in the 7 decisions. So I want to review these 7 decisions with you, and I want to challenge you to go through this at length. And I'm actually having this printed off, and each one of these decisions printed and framed and put in my office. They've become that important to me. I would encourage you, if nothing else, that you would read these once a day. I think your life would be transformed because you would be transformed. Decision number 1 is the responsibility decision. In other words, the buck stops here. You have to accept responsibility for where you are. One of my mentors, a guy named Tony Rush, is fond of saying that you and I are where we are right now because of our best thinking up to this point. Our life right now, the harvest that we have or the famine that we have in our lives, is a direct reflection of our thinking, because our thinking is what compels our action, or it also stunts action and creates inaction. But ultimately, whether your business is great, or there were mistakes, or there were missteps, or whatever the things are from your past, you have to, whether it's business-wise, emotionally, physically, relationally, spiritually, whatever it is, you have to take 100% ownership of it. We lose all of our power, friends, when we give it away in the form of it's their fault. I remember reading some powerful writing by a guy named L. Ron Hubbard. And Hubbard was fond of talking about that everything is on you. Everything is your responsibility. Everything. Well, I was late to work because there was an accident on the road. That's actually your fault because you could have left earlier. I mean, it's an extreme ownership. There's a guy that actually wrote a book just recently that I went through a corporate study with that's called Extreme Ownership. He was a Navy SEAL. I would encourage you to read the book. It's about understanding that everything and anything, the buck stops with you. Because when you accept that and you decide that it's going to be your thinking and your actions, if you own it, that means you can solve it. That means you have a future because it's on you. Sure, there will be times when people will have wronged you, or things went out of your control, or things that happened to you that you were blindsided. It's true. Bad things can happen to really good people, but it stops with you. The buck stops with you. I love this last line. It says, I accept responsibility of my past. I control my thoughts. I control my emotions. I am responsible for my success. For some of you, you still want to think it's your upline that's responsible for you. They're not. You're responsible for your success. You think it's the company. Nope, it's you. You think it's your partners. Nope, it's you. You think it's the economy. Nope, it's you. You think it's it's who's in the White House. No, it's you. You are responsible for your success. The buck stops with you. Decision number 2 the guided decision. I will seek wisdom. It's been said by the great Mike Murdock that wisdom is the ability to discern difference in a countenance, difference in a situation, difference in people, difference in talent. Seek out wisdom. We do this normally by saying you need to be reading, 10 pages of a great book every day, and you need to be listening to audio. And we give this advice so often to entrepreneurs, and sometimes they do it and sometimes they don't, and then they wonder why their emotions are a roller coaster in their business and in their life. Friends, you have to seek after wisdom. Seek after wisdom. In the New Testament, the book of James, there's a famous section in the first chapter of it that says, if you'll ask of God for wisdom, he'll give it liberally and upbraideth not. So in other words, he'll never say to you, why are you asking that? That's a dumb question. No, ask and seek and look for wisdom. We talk about wisdom in training. We say, look, learn more about your skill, invest in your education, practice, get great. As Cal Newport says, be so good they can't ignore you. Forget about passion and think more about mastery. You do that by serving others, you listen to the counsel of wise men, and you choose your friends with care. Decision number 3, I am a person of action. I have seen over the years in my own business and in the business of others that the biggest thing that separates massive success and failure is action. When we are afraid or uncertain or paralyzed with scarcity, we literally freeze. We don't take the appropriate amount of action. Grant Cardone, is probably his best work is a book called The 10X Rule. I think it's probably one of the most important business books ever. But it's really about life. Whatever you think it's going to take for you to succeed, it's going to take at least 10 times that to really get it done. Whatever action, whatever the goal is, you shouldn't take it at all and multiply it by 10. The one thing that's interesting about action is that you are the only person that ultimately controls it. An amazing entrepreneur in the sales and insurance space, a guy named Andy Albright, is fond of saying, I have 2 hands on my watch. One says right and one says now. The time for you to take action is right now. But the problem for many of us is we're waiting. We're waiting on tomorrow. We're waiting until the ducks are in a row. We're waiting until we're comfortable. And enough days of waiting becomes enough days of procrastinating, and you get enough time put on it, and you'll give up. Your idea, your goal, it'll wash away. Stephen Pressfield, in his book Turning Pro, says that the difference between the amateur and the pro is the amateur is always ready to go tomorrow. The pro starts now. Decision number 4, the certain decision. I have a decided heart. For many of you, you are in a business, you're in a company, you're in an opportunity, but the business, the opportunity, the company has never gotten inside of you. And that's a big problem. We talk about it in our masterminds over the years as saying that we're all in. Are you all in? I talked about this in the last module. Are you willing to ride the horse even when it's limp and it's not working very well? Are you willing to ride it long enough because you're all in to see it succeed? Or will you jump? Will you jump to the next thing that looks greener on the other side of the pasture? Or do you have a decided heart? Have you walked across the bridge, turned around, blown up the bridge so that you have no opportunity for retreat so that you can run towards your goal? You have to be passionate enough about your vision of a future that you will step into it and say, no matter what, I will. Decision number 5, the joyful decision. Today I will choose to be happy. You know, if I'm being transparent, as I often try to be, I can tell you that one of the biggest challenges as an entrepreneur that I've had over the years is being happy. Because I'm hyper competitive and I like results and I want to win and I want things to go well. Even when they're going badly, I still want to know that I'm fighting the good fight. Entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. There's a reason why there's about 1% to 3% of the overall populace of entrepreneurs that are successful, because it's hard business. It's tough. You get punched, you get beat up, you get knocked down. At moments you're at poverty levels, and at the next you're riding high. It is an emotional roller coaster unlike anything that you will ever endeavor to take on. However, you still must figure out a way to choose to be happy. It says here that I will greet each day with laughter. I will smile at every person I meet. I am the possessor of a grateful spirit. If you look around in your life, you will quickly see that you have 1,001 reasons to be grateful. And if you are grateful, as Tony Robbins says, it creates an entirely different state. And in that state is where results live. Are you breathing right now? Are your eyes open? Is your heart beating in rhythm? Can you hear? Can you look and hear the sound of your child's laughter? Can you hear the little feet running on the floor? Have you ever watched a cat sleep? It's incredible. There are so many reasons. Are you sleeping under a roof that you have to be grateful? Choose to be happy. Decision number 6, the compassionate decision. I will greet this day with a forgiving spirit. There's a lot of things about forgiveness that I could tell you about, but I will say this. I think one of the biggest people that, or the most important person rather, that you need to forgive is probably yourself. You've probably made some decisions that you wish you could walk back. There are decisions that you wish you could say, you know what, please let me do it over. And you have beat yourself up for some of these decisions, sometimes for weeks, sometimes for months, sometimes for years, whether they were in business or they were in your personal life or in relational stuff or your health, and you have beaten and beaten and beaten, and now it's almost become self-abuse because you refuse to forgive yourself. I want to challenge you as you walk out of this course, as you step into your future, to make the compassionate decision and forgive yourself. It's over. Whatever it is, as Zig Ziglar said, yesterday ended last night. So now is a brand new day. Choose to forgive yourself. Decision number 7, the persistent decision. I will persist without exception. And this is a perfect way for me to end, in the last 3 minutes of this lesson is about persistence. Most people who started this course never even got past module number 5 because they lack persistency. They lack discipline. Persistency means I keep going no matter what. It doesn't matter if I'm tired. It doesn't matter if it's a bad day. It doesn't matter if I have to do it later. It doesn't matter if I have to do it earlier. It doesn't matter if I have to work on my day off. It doesn't matter, because no matter what, I'm going to persist. I have created scores of courses and sold them all over the world. One of the most heartbreaking things I see is when I log into the back office and see that someone's never even gotten past their first module. Forget about persistence. They didn't even really start, but then once they start, maybe they got 3 modules in and then they quit. I'll see it with emergence clients. I can promise you. There'll be some that'll start and they'll go and then they'll vanish because they weren't persistent. Something got in the way. I want to challenge you to keep going. As my long distance mentor Jacob Pogue says, stick it out until you figure it out. Keep going. Even if the progress is slower, it's progress. You're still moving. Stop disappearing. Stop opting out. Stop going into witness protection for weeks at a time and then you have to resurrect your business again. Stop killing your business so you have to keep resurrecting it. Just keep it alive and keep going. Are you tired of starting over? Stop quitting. Keep going. There will be bad days. There will be setbacks. There will be disappointments. It'll take you longer than you think. It'll cost you more in time and money than you thought it was going to. But is your dream worth it? Keep going. Keep going when someone says no in chat. Keep going when someone unfriends you. Keep going when your checking account is in the negative. Keep going when you cannot seem to see any light at the end of your tunnel, my friend, for all that this course is worth. Keep going. Be persistent. Don't be distracted. Don't hang out on Facebook. Don't numb the pain. Stand in the pain. Decide that you're going to keep going and don't give up. That's what the average people do. That's what the minions do. That's what the people who are rotting away in cubicles do. Don't do that. You're extraordinary. You're different. You chose a path that is different because it's fundamental to your DNA. It is beached down in you so deep that you can't stop it. So for all that is worth your future and your dreams, persist without exception. I wish you the best. We're believing for you and we are hoping for you to do amazing things in your life and business. Take care.